Dawnbringers Book 4, The Mad King Rises, is now out and available for pre-order, and quick little plug, there are still copies available over on Element Games, which you can get for a nice little discount if you use my link down in the description below. But that is not what this video is about. This video is about the brand new Regiments of Renown, which are coming in this book. Now, we had a quick little tease of a few of these earlier in the week from Warhammer community, but in this and the next few videos on the channel, I wanted to take a look at them individually and dive into the rules that you get, how much they're going to set you back points-wise, and whether I think they are any good. And we are starting with one that I personally think may well be the best of the bunch, the Regiment of Renown for Mannfred, the Soulblight Mortarch, and this is called the Sternieste Garrison. This regiment can be taken for 630 points, and notably this doesn't cause any issues with regards to the usual allies limitations, which in Age of Sigmar is generally 20% of your force, or 1 in every 4 separate units. So for instance, at a 2000 point size game, you can bring 400 points worth of allies. This doesn't count towards that limit, so you can bring this regiment in your 2K games, even though it's over the usual 400 point limitation. Worth noting though, if you do decide to bring this or any of the other regiments, you specifically cannot bring any other allied units in your army, which makes sense, because most of these are over that limit anyway. But for 630 points, this regiment nets you Mannfred, of course, and he is accompanied by 10 Graveguard and 2 units of 3 Fell Bats. And this can of course be taken by Nighthaunt, Ossiarch Bone Reapers, and the Flesh Eater Courts, so basically any death army that isn't Soulblight. And straight off the bat, I have to say this is a really good Regiment of Renown. In terms of rules, you get the usual Death 6-up ward save from Deathless Retainers, which all of these regiments actually give you and is super nice of GW to have included. Seeing as you don't get your usual battle traits from your army book, I was a little bit worried that GW might forget that the 6-up ward is almost an intrinsic part of the death factions now, and I feel like it should always go hand in hand with your death units. So I'm glad that GW put that in just to make sure everyone was aware and realized that that 6-up ward save is going to be on any of the units that you bring in these regiments. But on top of that, you get a few unique special rules specifically for this Regiment of Renown. You get Engulfing Shadows, which grants a unit that has been set up that turn +1 attack on their weapons. So if you set up a unit from this regiment on the battlefield in this turn, then boom, you get more attacks. It's really simple and really handy, and it combos incredibly well with the regiment's second ability, the Cover of Night. And what the Cover of Night states is that in your hero phase, you pick one of the units from this regiment, which is more than 3 inches from an enemy, and then you can remove it from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere on the table that is 6 inches away from an enemy unit. It does specify they can't move in your following movement phase, but that is still incredibly powerful. Dropping Mannfred or your bats at a 6-inch charge in the following charge phase is super strong and gets you some really reliable charge distances if you want to get them into a unit and into combat. But where this rule is unbelievably crazy is actually on those 10 Graveguard, because first off, +1 attack on those Graveguard when they're set up with their Great White Blades is fantastic. That will be 31 attacks that will hit on 4s, wound on 3s, they're -1 rend, and they are a flat 2 damage, which as far as profiles go in AOS is a really good one. But even more crucially, the musician for the Graveguard has this rule. You treat charge rolls of less than 6 for this unit as a 6. So you set this squad up just over 6 inches away, and you can guarantee 100%, even if you roll a double 1, that they will be making their charge. It's physically impossible for them not to make their charge. And that means that like any turn in the game, you can move your Graveguard to anywhere you want to, 6 inches from an enemy, and just guarantee they're going to get in and unleash 31 2 damage attacks into them, which there are some things in the game that won't be killed by that, but a lot of stuff in the game will just get outright deleted before they can even do anything, against that many attacks from those Graveguard, and the fact that you can just guarantee they get in makes them so powerful, because the big problem with Graveguard typically has been that they have been slow and they don't have the best kind of delivery methods for getting into combat. This completely changes it. It makes them guaranteed 100% that they can get into a unit they want to fight, and it just makes them so unbelievably powerful. I think overall, Fell Bats aside, Mannfred and Graveguard are just so great in this regiment. They add a huge amount of damage output, they add a huge amount of utility from Mannfred, and then when you do consider the 2 units of Fell Bats, you get some great utility and screening from them. They're really fast, they can be used to protect some of your more valuable units from enemy charges, they can be used to go and score battle tactics where you need to get all around the board with their brilliant movement. They are just great, and this whole regiment can be added to Nighthaunt, to the Flesh Eater Courts, or to the Bone Reapers, and they will all find it incredibly useful for killing things, for scoring battle tactics, for harassing the enemy, for killing enemy chaff, and just for protecting your other units. It is useful in basically every situation. Mannfred himself is a 2-cast wizard with a decently solid melee output and a really scary counter-charge ability in his Mortarch of Night rule. He is just all by himself, pricey but all-round useful. And then on the topic of that, whilst yes he is pricey, this regiment is 630 points, which actually nets you a decent little discount on all of the units in this. Mannfred, as I said, is 400 points by himself, 10 Graveguard are 160 points, and 2 units of Fell Bats, they are 90 points each, so that's a total of 180, so you are actually getting 740 points worth of units for just 630 points in this regiment. And whilst yes, you do lose some stuff from the lack of battle traits, you know, the Graveguard can't come back through Endless Legions, you miss out on things like the Ageless Cunning Legion of Night trait you would normally have if you were taking Mannfred. But I just think overall, this is an incredibly strong Regiment of Renown. You get a great melee and casting hero, you get 2 fast-moving units to score battle tactics, kill enemy chaff and screen your forces, and you basically get a nuclear torpedo of a unit in the 10 Graveguard, which can just teleport up, auto-charge, and then dump 31 2-damage attacks into an enemy, which, on average, will do nearly 14 damage to an enemy unit with a 4-up save, even more if you decide to put all-out attack on them too, so they can do a monumental amount of damage, delete almost anything they dive into, and then even if they do die in the return swings, you've probably traded up at least a little bit, and you still have Mannfred and the Bats to benefit the rest of your army in the various ways they can. All in all, I would say this is a supremely strong Regiment of Renown, and I can honestly see it being added to a lot of death armies for just its sheer overall utility and power and reasonably cheap cost for putting it on the table too. So that is it for the first of the 6 new Regiments of Renown, and it is one of my favourites. But what do you think of it? Do you think it is good, and will you be adding it to your death factions? And if so, who do you think will benefit from it the most? Nighthaunt, the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, or the Flesh Eater Courts? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later guys.